First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my estranged father that he and his wife can be grandparents to his other kids' future children? My parents divorced when I was 15 because my dad had been cheating on my mom with a coworker of hers. My younger brother was 13 and my sister was 12. I became estranged from him around that time. My siblings followed suit. My full siblings anyway. I have two half-siblings who are older than me and my other siblings. They were jerks to us because we were angry our dad hurt our mom, etc. And they made it clear if we didn't want our dad, they didn't want us. So ever since, I consider him my estranged father and not even my dad. I am now married and I have two little boys. I only see my father and his wife once every 3 years or so when there's a paternal family event of some kind. Last year, there was a milestone birthday for my grandpa, and throughout the day, people went to see him. When I was leaving, my father showed up and he saw that I had kids. After that, he tracked me down on social media and started saying how he and his wife would love to be grandparents, and how she was unable to have kids, so no buy grandkids and all that stuff. I replied once and told him that he could ask his other kids if she could be grandma to their future kids because they were not welcome in my life or the life of my kids. He responded several more times, but I just ignored him. He then decided to get my great aunt involved and say that my boys deserve to have more loving grandparents if their grandparents are willing, and that I made his wife cry when I wrote what I did, and that was insensitive. My reply was, she was insensitive to sleep with a married man with 3 children, but apparently that was no big deal. And it goes beyond that, to how she treated my mom at work while the affair was happening. She even got fired over it, because she was bullying another colleague of my mom's too. It's not the type of family I want around my kiddos. They'll be fine with a loving grandma from me and 2 loving grandpas from their dad. So tell me, am I the a-hole for what I said? Edited to add, 2 kids was meant to be 3. It was a typo, sorry. My father has 5 kids total. 3 with my mom, 2 with the woman before he married my mom. Now for the top comments. Your estranged father had a chance to stay in your life, and he blew it. He also could have tried to reconnect with you later, and didn't until he found out, years after the fact, that you had something he wanted. Your kids. Sucks to be him. Oh, and the woman who helped destroy your parents' marriage is sad now that she doesn't get to swoop in and play granny? Ha 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 ha, bug off. Not the a-hole. So much agree with this. He could have started with, I'm sorry, or I regret that we don't have a relationship. Nope. You owe me and my affair partner, /wife, /bully your children's time and attention. With a side order of your children better be enthusiastic at having these new strangers around. So you better facilitate a grandparent-grandchild dynamic. No way. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. After that, he tracked me down on social media and started saying how he and his wife would love to be grandparents, and how she was unable to have kids, so no buy grandkids and all that stuff. He only wants back in your life because his wife cannot have children of her own, and they want to scratch the grandparent itch. There is nothing in his request that shows any remorse for what he did, and what they put you through as a child. They're both selfish. You're absolutely right to keep your boys away from these toxic people, and I would block anyone who tries to convince you otherwise. Your estranged father and his wife made their bed when they embarked on their affair. Now they're going to have to lie in it. Yep, only wanted her when it was a benefit to him and his wife. Forget that noise. He's not worth Opie's time. Not the a-hole. You owe this man nothing, and his audacious demands to play family now don't require gentle response. You were right to put your foot down fast and hard. I doubt anything less would have gotten through his skull. He chose her. If he doesn't get grandkids through her, oh well, it's not your problem. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my stepson with his son's surgery after he told me I'll never be his grandfather? I got married to my wife when her son was 14 and his mom was single 4 years before meeting me. My stepson was respectful, but he made it clear that he already had a dad. I'm not his father and that I shouldn't try to act like it. I respected his wish. Had no problem with him treating me in a formal and respectful manner. I still handle his education, /daily needs, /medical bills, even if no one told me to. He was just a kid living under my roof, so I felt responsible for his well-being until he could be responsible for himself. I do need to say that I lost a son while serving the military. He was young and had his whole life ahead of him. We had a lot in common. He loved soccer, cars, country music. Loved Eric Church, Alan Jackson, and Crystal Gale. I listened to those singers every day to get some comfort. Some people say I'm lucky my son's a hero and things like that. Some say that I must be devastated. Let me tell you, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't feel the way I felt when I received that devastating news the first time. It's all I can say. My stepson had a baby boy with his wife last year. He made it clear that this baby is not my grandson and I'm not his grandfather. I was only able to visit when my wife visited. No photos allowed, no mentioning of the baby. No gifts from me specifically. Nothing. I wasn't allowed to attend his first birthday, and the gift I sent was returned. I'm not going to lie. It hurt. It still hurts, but I absolutely respected his words. I knew there were lines that I cannot cross, and so I kept to myself. It's not easy, and although my son is not here, I enjoy looking at pictures and videos of when he was younger. Thinking I was lucky I had him in my life, especially after how my stepson treated me. I don't hate him for it. I'm just grateful for the times I had with my son. A few days ago, my stepson's baby was in the hospital. My wife visits alone. She came home and said that my stepson needs help for his son's surgery and wanted me to pay for it. I said I'm sorry, but no. She looked confused and asked if I was serious, and then called me selfish and said that I'm ignoring my grandson and acting like I don't care. I told her that is not my grandbaby, and she and my stepson have been acting like it for an entire year. Now they want me to pay? She guilted me by saying I was being cruel to not help family. She and my stepson kept arguing with me and got others involved to shame me for not helping. My stepson argued that I'm trying to hold my money over his head and had no right to do that. They didn't stop arguing with me, telling me I needed to pay. His aunt called me too, saying I needed to help my grandchild because I have the money. But I'm not obligated to, yet they call me cruel and selfish. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhole. Your stepson has made it clear from the start that you are not his dad, and you're not his son's grandfather. Expecting anything from you, especially money, isn't called for. If he wanted you to have any kind of relationship with his son, then you would be allowed to see him without your wife being there. Have photos with the baby. Be able to talk about the baby. But nope. None of that. So, I wouldn't want to help with this random child's surgery, as bad as it sounds. Yes, and I'm not doing this out of spite as it claims. He knows how it is. His mother knows they both had no problem treating me like that, and I don't talk about it because I didn't want to look pathetic. But everyone just wants to please my stepson and his wife now. I bet they're promising him that they'll pressure me enough to pay. Unfortunately, I don't think things will change. It's been like this for years. My wife says she respects her son's wishes and isn't trying to force him to do anything, but I didn't ask anything from anyone. Sir, I mean no disrespect at all, but why are you with this woman at all? Not only allowed this treatment as a piggy bank towards you, but encouraged it, and now demands it. You deserve better. Please don't stay in this family. They don't respect you. They don't care about you, just your wallet, and they certainly don't love you. Not Dayhole. Your stepson wants you to finance a child's surgery that he won't even let you be around. He's using you. I'd tell him to have the real grandfather shell out the money. Yes, this. It was made clear someone else is the child's grandfather. To the point, they sent his gift back after forbidding him from attending the child's birthday party. So the birthday gift wasn't acceptable, but all OP's money is? They can sashay that BS back and over to his real grandfather and get the money from him. Not Dayhole. So basically, they want you to be dad/grandfather only when it's convenient for them. No. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-husband's girlfriend to stay in her lane when it comes to my kids? 5 years ago, while I was in the waiting part of labor, you know, where the epidural kicks in but you're hours away from the main event, my then-husband told me that he needed to get some food because he was starving and is hungry. In his hurry, he left his phone behind him, which every few seconds kept getting notifications. Me thinking it was his or my family checking up, I asked the midwife pass me the phone. He literally was updating his mistress on my labor. And how can I put this sweet talking her about how even though he was with me, she still had his full attention? Let's just say when he came back, it was showtime after me screaming the place down, and my midwife, amazing woman, kicked him out and my sister ended up coming in. Because there's a word count, I'll cut it short. I moved in with my parents with my 5 kids. We got divorced and they got together. I'm civil to my ex for my kids' sake, but I barely speak to her. She's my cousin, by the way. My kids, 15 female, 13 male, 13 male, 8 male, and 5 female, have recently become obsessed with Harry Potter. Since my 15-year-old made a TikTok and lots of people pointed out that my 4 oldest look like the Weasleys, my twins have the same personalities as Fred and George. So this brings me onto the situation. My youngest since then has been dressing up as a different character every week, like Harry, Draco, Snape, the dude from Twilight. You can see the pattern of it just being male characters. Personally, I don't care. If my kids are happy, I'm happy. Which brings me onto the situation today. While I was dropping them off, my ex's girlfriend asked to speak to me about my kids, especially my youngest. She basically told me it was weird that they weren't right in the head, so we're gonna do something about the situation at hand. I told her she slept with her cousin's husband, so her ideas on what people should do aren't something I want my kids are picking up, and that my kids are fine. She isn't their mom, nor will they ever see her as such, and that they hate her guts. Her doing, but that's another story. And finally, she should stay in her lane when it comes to my kids. Kids weren't there when it happened, and I left. A few hours later, X calls me screaming, saying I was a a-hole, and that his girlfriend has been crying all day about the mother thing, because she can't have kids, and that I need to apologize. So that's why I'm here. Not a-hole. She was way out of line for trying to tell you how to parent your kids. They can do what they want when they're at their dad's house. She should just talk to her boyfriend? So weird. No need to bring you into this. My oldest has recently started going to her dad's again, because his girlfriend started drama about my daughter being on TikTok. She literally talked him into demanding she delete the app, so maybe they wanted me to be the bad guy. What's your guys' legal custody arrangement? We both agreed on 50-50, but because of the bad relationship my kids have with the ex's girlfriend, and over the current situation with, you know what, it's more 80-20. You are definitely not an a-hole. They're not her kids. Wearing weird stuff is normal for young kids. Also, I feel for her that she can't have kids, but that doesn't give her the right to meddle with your kids, and she lost my sympathy the second she started an affair with your ex-husband. She sounds horrible. Wearing weird stuff is normal for young kids. You know what I do when my kid wears weird stuff? I take pictures and send them to family. They love it, especially when it's a mashup of 2 to 4 costumes that has some repurposed home item or a homemade craft. It's not just what kids do, it's super adorable. This lady is nuts. Edit. My oldest rang me to collect them. Apparently, my ex had hidden all their costumes. He has a garden like the Malfoy one, so they wanted to do TikToks. And his girlfriend held a family meeting about the Harry Potter obsession, and basically belittled my kids, especially my 5-year-old. The second youngest videoed her, which is now on Facebook. I had my sister come with me, and I told my ex I'll be going for full custody. I took my kids out to the car at that stage, but my sister just let loose. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my dad's girlfriend's kids? Some background information. My 16 female parents got divorced 2 years ago, and about 6 months after, my dad started dating his girlfriend, Molly. My mom is a science and math tutor, and I work at the same place as a math and reading tutor. Molly is an elementary school teacher with 2 kids, Ben, 10 male, and Alex, 7 male. My parents have split custody, so I spend 1 week at my mom's and 1 week at my dad's. With the way I'm doing school right now, I have biology the week I am at my dad's and my other class the week I am at my mom's. Because Molly's a teacher, she really enjoys helping out with homework and tries to help me, even though she doesn't understand biology as well, because she teaches younger kids. I had a big project due this week, and I was struggling, so I called my mom for help yesterday. Molly did not like this, and demanded I hang up on the phone and ask her for help. She didn't understand the work, and left, so I ended up just texting my mom to figure it out. Because everyone is at home right now, I am babysitting Ben and Alex while we're all on school calls. So if Ben or Alex have a question during the day, they come to me because Molly's teaching and I tutor their grade. Molly doesn't like this and always tells them to wait until she's done teaching to ask her questions. But this isn't really a good option because she's teaching for 6+ hours a day, and they can't wait that long. She still does any homework with them and gives them some activities she's done in her class for fun after she's done work. She came out of her office for lunch today and saw me helping Ben with some work and got mad and told me to not answer any questions they have. I didn't listen and continued to help them when they asked me. Now here is where I might be the a-hole. After dinner tonight, my dad said that Molly told him about what happened, and I can't help Ben and Alex anymore because they're Molly's kids, and what she says goes. I told him that if I'm not allowed to help them, I'm not going to watch them on their Zoom classes because they will just distract me with questions I'm not allowed to answer. My dad basically set him a nail for this, and it's not my job to parent Molly's kids. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They set the rules. They can't get mad when you decide to comply with them in ways they didn't expect. Exactly. Opie gets told she can't do anything for the kids, so she decides not to do anything for the kids. Opie, you're setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Your dad's girlfriend decided to have 2 kids, and your dad accepted that when he started dating her and moved in together. It's on them to find a solution to their current problem, not you. If you want to watch the kids, and dad and girlfriend are fine with you handling homework when you are watching them, that's absolutely perfect. But they don't get to set arbitrary rules. Tell them it's either you watch them and help them as you are doing, or you don't watch them. This isn't a pick and mix shop. Not the a-hole. Molly seems to have a bad case of needing to be the smartest, most helpful person in the room, to the point of not being able to recognize or admit when that attitude's not actually helpful, and your dad's enabling her. If they won't ease off, see if you can talk them into considering family counseling, or worst case, talk to your mom about readjusting the visiting arrangement. Molly sounds like Peggy Hill. Maybe we just call this Peggy Hill syndrome from now on. Not the a-hole. Even your dad said so. It's not your job to parent the kids. So what's the issue here? That last sentence made it seem like your dad is agreeing with you. Sorry if it wasn't clear. Basically, my dad wants me to watch them, but just ignore their questions. I said I will either watch them and help, or not watch them at all. He basically said that me helping them with the questions was parenting them, and that I need to stop. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.
I told my dad to never speak to me again the day my son died. Plus update. Original post. My son of 32 weeks passed away very recently. We knew it was going to happen, so we invited our closest family to say goodbye to him at the hospital. I've always had a very difficult relationship with my dad, but I decided that this was an important thing for him to be a part of. I also needed someone who could take care of our 3-year-old son at home while we were at the hospital and I was giving birth to our stillborn son. He calls me the day before he arrives, asking when I expect to give birth. I tell him that I do not know exactly, since the birth is induced and it can take anywhere between hours to days for my body to react to the medication. He responds, "Well, I need to let my work know how long I'll be away, so I need a better time frame than that." I repeat myself as I literally do not know when I'll go into labor, but he keeps pressing me for a more precise answer with quotes like, "The hospital must know," and "Just ask a doctor, they will know," etc. In the end, my husband has to grab the phone and tell my dad to figure it out with his work. My dad then arrives with his girlfriend and is, throughout the entire day, extremely visibly distraught. I think to myself, wow, he really cares, and I feel incredibly bad for him. But I also notice some strange behavior from him. Throughout the 3 hours he was there, he just places himself in a corner in a complete zombie state. He doesn't once console me or my husband. He doesn't once take the initiative to go for a walk with our 3-year-old son or talk to him. He just sits there without a single word, and I have to handle my son while I am also trying to arrange paperwork with the hospital about my stillborn baby. The only thing my dad tells me that day is, You should probably go home to your 3-year-old. He is very confused and he needs you. At this point, I had just given birth to my son 3 hours prior, and before that, had been hospitalized for bleeding. My dad then ends up walking out of the room and taking the elevator down. My husband, being a bit worried about him, follows and asks him what is going on. My dad then looks at him and says, "Girlfriend and I broke up." My husband doesn't react much other than telling him he is sorry. My husband also decides to keep it from me for the time being, because I am dealing with enough grief at that point. Later in the day, we all return home. My dad is still sitting motionless on the couch staring into the room. His girlfriend gets up to use the bathroom, and he then turns to me with tears in his eyes and drops the bomb on me as well. We broke up, but I don't want to talk about it right now. Clearly, he was trying to keep this announcement a secret from his now ex, since he waited to tell me until she left the room. In that moment, I can't take it anymore. I glare at him and tell him, "I cannot handle this right now, and I think you need to leave. Don't contact me." I needed my dad that day. My mom passed away some time ago, and my husband's parents live halfway across the world. I needed my dad more than I had ever needed him, and instead of embracing me, telling me he loves me, telling me he loves our son and comforting me, he is lost in his own grief over his freaking breakup. I don't even know if a single tear that day was shed for my son. At the same time, I can't help but feel bad for him. But couldn't he have waited a couple of days to tell me about this? Why did I need to know it on that day? I'm probably just an a-hole, I really don't know, but I needed to vent it out. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Had your dad always been like this? Between how he behaved on the phone and how he behaved at the hospital, your dad strikes me as a very selfish person. I think that you were well within your rights to tell your dad to leave and to not contact you. I'm sorry for your loss. We have a very, very strained relationship. When I lost my mom as a teenager, he also engulfed himself in grief and forgot to care for his 4 kids. I had to arrange my mom's funeral because he couldn't handle it. He never once asked how his kids were doing, never once checked in on us. I resonate with your story. I lost my mother when I was a teenager, and I have finally, at age 30, cut out my chaotic, emotionally absent, and at times, highly abusive father. Never felt so free. A father like that is not worth your time and energy. You don't owe him anything, and he will give you nothing but grief. Be proud you have put up boundaries and keep your head up high, as you have done nothing wrong. This time is needed to look after yourself and grieve after the loss of your dear child. Stay strong. They broke up and still came to the hospital together. Probably because the ex has a heart and wanted to be there for you in a small way. Perhaps she is genuinely a really sweet person, and she has been there for my son more than my dad ever has, so it could be her wanting to be there and support us. Now for the mini update. My dad called today, 4 times. I did not want to talk to him, so I asked my husband if he could do it. I was genuinely afraid something had happened. My dad spent 30 seconds asking how we are, and then the conversation immediately turned into him complaining about his now ex. When he started telling my husband about how he has already signed up for a dating site because now he needs to find a new girlfriend, my husband just hung up. My dad then called my grandmother and complained about how difficult I was being during his visit at the hospital because I didn't ask why he was so sad. I have blocked my dad from every possible contact, and I will never let him near my family again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex's mom I'm pregnant at almost 7 months? Plus update. I, 23 female, and ex-Leo, 25 male, have stopped talking after revealing to his mom that I'm 6 months pregnant when he said he won't be coming to the birth. To give a little backstory, I have been involved with Leo for a little over 5 years now, 3.5 years of actually dating, and 1.5 years being broken up, but trying to fix our relationship and ultimately working on ourselves, careers, mental health, etc. He was my first love, the first person I brought home to my parents, and ultimately someone I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. In January 2024, I was diagnosed with endometriosis after dealing with constant back pain, stomach pain, paralyzing menstrual periods, and severe migraines for years. It has been a lot to digest as it's incurable and can spread to other organs, not to mention the fertility issues that come with this diagnosis, which were just as hard. Fast forward to April 2025. I found out I was pregnant. I was in shock to say the least. I told Leo, who was shocked also but reassured me he would support me after discussing our options moving forward. This was a huge responsibility, and we're young and still have so much to achieve, places to visit, etc. I really needed to think about everything, as this wasn't the decision I could make overnight. I made appointments to discuss termination and kept him involved. After many sleepless nights, praying, planning, and advice from family and friends, I decided I'm going ahead with the pregnancy. Despite my diagnosis and situation with Leo, this baby is a blessing. However, Leo turned cold and was no longer caring or supportive, and he told me he didn't want to be involved. This was obviously hard to hear, and after a few arguments, I decided to leave things alone to avoid stressing myself or the baby. Plus, the first few months of pregnancy were hard as I had severe morning sickness. In the midst of essentially preparing to be a single mom and having a really horrible pregnancy experience, Leo reached out to discuss how he didn't want to be an absent dad. And because I'm hormonal and gullible, I believed him and was happy about having a family unit. But then Leo ghosted me for weeks with the excuse that he's busy working, plus home stress, and he hasn't had time to check up on me. At the end of July, he reached out once again, and this time we had a long conversation, which ended with him telling me how much he loves and cares for me, and that he will support me emotionally and financially. We reconciled, chose names, talked about throwing a baby shower, appointment dates, and things I've bought and need to buy. Fast forward to now, I'm 6 months pregnant and currently doing my birthing plan with my midwife. I texted Leo to ask if he'll be at the birth, as I remembered he mentioned having a holiday booked around the baby's due date. Leo quote-unquote said cannot confirm nor deny, which left me a bit confused because the last serious conversation we had was that he was going to be present, so surely missing the birth conflicts with that. Leo also then proceeded to tell me that he will be away for the whole month, so not only will he miss the birth of our child, but also the first month of their life. I think this was my final straw. When I look at my pregnancy, it has honestly been a horrible experience. I've cried for so many nights wondering if I've made the right decisions, why this even had to happen, which makes me feel guilty because I love my baby. The constant stress from Leo, dealing with the fear of disappointment and shame for being a single mom, and just being extremely lonely. I knew Leo hadn't told his parents, and at this point, I don't want Leo around at all. But I also don't want to deny my child the chance to know their extended family. So I met up with his mom and told her the news. She was shocked, upset, and disappointed, and felt kind of robbed of the experience of her first grandchild as Leo hadn't told her. But she also expressed how she's excited to meet her grandchild and wants to more than support me with the baby shower and being at the birth. She also debunked a lot of lies that Leo told me, which were just excuses to not take responsibility. Now, it wasn't my intention to hurt Leo or cause any animosity between his parents, which his mom assured me there wouldn't be. But I felt like I've exhausted all options and keep having the same conversation with Leo that leads nowhere. A part of me feels relief because my baby gets the chance to know their extended family, but I still feel the same, sad, alone, unloved. I feel like I've caused irreversible damage to the relationship, or situationship, with Leo. Leo said he'll never speak to me again for telling his mom, and that he doesn't care about me at all. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. I don't care what your intentions were when you told her. That's your baby's grandparent. They have a right to know. Leo is a waste of space. He was just going to keep playing you to keep you off his back. Now he can't play you or his mother anymore. Make sure he pays child support. Don't let his mother pick up the tab, but let her enjoy being a grandma. Screw Leo. You're not the a-hole. Agreed. OP needs to accept being a single mom and try to make those relationships with his family, but try to keep from emotionally investing in Leo because he's trash and seems to just be stringing her along. Not the a-hole. Where are your parents? Focus on making your home now. Prepare for the baby coming. Get enough sleep. Eat well. Practice self-care. It's you and your little one now. Bless you. You're gonna be a great mom and you chose this baby. My parents are involved and very supportive. I definitely will, thank you. You're gonna do great. Please keep us updated. Mini update. Thank you so much for all the comments and taking the time to read my story. I've taken everything on board and am making steps to prepare, which is going well so far. I forgot to mention both of my parents are super involved, and so are my family and friends. So I'm super grateful. Maybe it's the hormones, but I really wanted baby, I don't know their gender yet, to have their dad and paternal family, as family is so important to me. Also, I'm from London, so I will definitely look up UK laws. I definitely see now he's been stringing me along, and that there is no possibility of having what we once had. I was 18 when we got together, so it's been hard to let go, but I love my baby way more than that. Thank you everyone, and I'll keep you posted with what happens. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that if I waited for her to make memories with our son, we wouldn't have any? Last weekend, I, 39 male, helped my son, 14 male, dye his hair purple. Or my good friend who actually knew what he was doing helped dye my son's hair while I was there for music requests and object fetching. It was such a fun day, and I could tell how happy it made my boy. I didn't tell my wife before we did this, and that was the catalyst to the fight we're currently having. But for me, it's so much more than this one incident. My wife has been hands-off with our child for a while now. His soccer games, little road trips to nearby amusement parks, back-to-school shopping, she's too busy with work or too tired from work. So, I've mostly just stopped having the conversations. Why would I waste my breath to have the same conversations on repeat? The night we dyed his hair, she started crying while we were talking, saying we were making all of these memories without her. I asked her what she expected me to do. If we waited for her to make memories, we would be sitting in a dark room 100% of the time. My son isn't even really comfortable with her anymore. There is no, I can't take you, go ask your mom. Now it's, I'm sorry I can't take you. Let me see if friend is free that day. My wife isn't speaking to me now, and I'm wondering if I took it too far. I don't know. I was hoping some brutal honesty would change something. I would have loved having more kids, but I guess it's for the best now that she said no. Edit. I'm a stay-at-home dad. The original plan was for me to start working again when our son went to kindergarten, but my wife was gunning for a promotion around that time and asked me to stay home longer. Once she got the promotion, her hours increased, so that time was extended once again. I am responsible for all the household chores and general homemaking tasks. I cook, clean, do all the yard work, all the grocery shopping, etc. I do enjoy being a stay-at-home dad, but I've been ready and willing to rejoin the workforce for a decade now. At this point, I will be getting a job when my son turns 16 and can get himself to and from school. But my wife still refuses to cut her hours even if I get a job and gets frustrated every time I bring it up. There's no point in me forcing my son to ride the bus or figure out a ride for himself if my wife still won't make the effort or compromise in order to spend time with him. Not the a-hole. At least you're there for your son. He deserves at least one of you to remember he exists. How true. One day they're 4, and the next they're both graduating university. Blink of an eye. So glad I was there for the majority of it all, and why I still have an amazing relationship with both my adult children. My son just turned 10 last week. 10. He's now riding his bike on his own to and from school and is loving the independence. But he's also still sharing so much of what's in his head with me, and he confides in me when he's feeling insecure, nervous, or unsure of something. He doesn't do this with his dad in any measure near what he does with me. Who goes to say goodnight, sleep well, and I love you every single night with rare exception? I do. Who sends memes and chats back and forth in the family chat? He and I do. Who remembers every birthday and even celebrated his favorite Teddy's birthday too for years? Because he said when he was little that 8th September was his birthday. Husband does none of this, nor does he really have his own rituals with our son to create these bonds. I am not looking forward to the shocked Pikachu face in a few years when our kids have no interest in spending time with their dad as adults. You're the a-hole a little bit here. You're the stay-at-home parent and she's out working full-time. She's taking the load of the financial responsibility for the family. You're supposed to be partners. If she's overwhelmed and overworked, isn't the appropriate conversation, "How can I help?" rather than chastising her for not being there? I know there will be someone who will say, "Oh, you wouldn't say that if the genders were reversed." But yeah, I would. Your son is 14 now. He doesn't need daycare that costs the earth. Get a part-time job, step up, and share some of the family responsibilities. I swear someone needs to sit down the entire group of Reddit users and tell them that relationships shouldn't be this hard. You're supposed to be there for each other. Ugh, I'm putting myself in a Reddit timeout for the day. I'm done with the weirdness of people. I was gonna say, as a stay-at-home mom, I immediately was wondering if he was the stay-at-home parent. My child isn't this old. We're still in toddlerhood, but I feel like it's so easy to let your mind and feelings drift too. I make all the memories with my child, spouse doesn't. Anytime I catch myself doing this, I reset and remind myself I couldn't make these memories if I was also working and without the security my spouse provides. I get to manage experiences and set us both up for fun times, and he makes sure we have the means to do so. I also take a step back and make sure to ask myself if I need something. Do I need a break? Is my toddler actually feeling disconnected from dad, or do they miss my spouse? The trade-offs in life balance when one parent works and one doesn't are hard to see if you don't try to see the other person. I hope this guy figures it out, because it's a really cool thing to be there for your kid, but you gotta not make the other parent the bad guy. Always you two versus the problem. Also, I can't wait for my kid to be old enough so I can go back to work part-time. I miss talking to adults and having normal adult conversations.